So at 18, you went to work for Disney World.
I did.
What was that experience like? That's a big branch out from a teenager in Russell.
Well, the reason why I did it was my mom. I came home from high school. Uh, I I barely graduated, like barely. I barely graduated. I had to take correspondence courses just to graduate with the rest of my class because I wasn't very good at academics. So I graduate and I got blue hair, I think, at the time or something. And my mom's like, "So what are you going to do? Are you going to get a job?" I'm like, "No, I'm just going to hang out in the parking lot," which we've already talked about. So you're just going to hang out in the parking lot. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just going to hang out. It's going to be fine." And so I did that. I left and she was mad at me and I left and I went to the parking lot and I came home. And a couple of days later, I come home again and she goes, "There's something on the table for you." I'm like, "What is it?" She goes, "Just go look." And it's a Disney package. It's like a dossier. And it says, "You have been invited to an interview in Toronto to come and work for the international program for Epcot." And I'm like, "What is this?" And she goes, "Go get a dress on. We're going to your aunt's house, who's a hairdresser, to fix your hair. We're driving to Toronto. We have an interview." So I didn't even apply to be going to this life-changing experience. It was my mom who found it in the Citizen in the want ads. So anyway, we go to Toronto and 4 hours of me just pouting, being like, "I don't want this, whatever." Mom's like, "This would be a good opportunity, So mom and dad, they drive me up there. There's 300 people being interviewed, and I go in, I come out. Mom's like, "How'd it go?" I'm like, "Well, they'd be pretty ridiculous if they didn't hire me, but whatever. Like, if I don't get it, I don't get it. But they probably should hire me. Like I could totally do it." And I went back to I was working in fast food at the time, and I went back to work. And a week later, I got a phone call, and I was gone in 3 weeks. I was in Orlando, Florida, living on my own in 3 weeks. So it was a whirlwind of a thing. It was crazy. It was nuts. I encourage everybody to do it. It's great. You meet so many people. So you live on Disney property. Now you work for the rat, like that's what we call Mickey Mouse, and that's because you get paid shit. So, but they do give you a lot of opportunity.
You put respect on Mickey's name here.
I don't want to break. I know there's going to be people listening to this. I hope at least my mom will be listening for sure. So that's a guarantee. But there's so many, like I grew up a Disney kid. I love Disney so much. I can sing like all the words, like I know all the words to Ariel, like Little Mermaid. I love Aladdin. Toy Story was so great. Like I absolutely love it. Still now to this day, as a 40, whatever I am, I still love Disney. And going there broke my heart, like broke your heart because they tell you all the secrets, like all of them. And it sucks because I don't want to break anybody else's heart, but like the magic is what makes it so amazing, right? But like I know what the Queen of Hearts, and I love Alice in Wonderland. I know what the Queen of Hearts looks like without her head on, and it's devastating, devastating, like broken. Winnie the Pooh, heartbroken. It's awful, awful. Anyway, putting that all aside, it was a beautiful experience. We're coming up to our 25th year that we worked at Epcot, and we're having a reunion, which is also bananas. Because we did one at our 10-year. We do one every 5 years, and every year my friends at the Canadian Pavilion that I still talk to, they either show up with like more kids or like their kids are bigger or like whatever, and I just keep showing up with like a case of beer and like I don't ever show up with anything else or like more tattoos, and like that's about it. So they make fun of me, but I was the youngest one there. I was 18. I couldn't drink. I couldn't like legally. I couldn't do anything. So they called me trucker. I swear a lot. So, but yeah, it was a fantastic experience. It was great. And you would think it would throw you off of hospitality, but I'm still doing it. I'm still in hospitality now. So
I have two responses to your Disney story here. So the first one is a confession. So here's my confession. When I was a kid, my family took my sister and I to see The Little Mermaid. And I was so scared of Ursula that I made my family leave. So which kid in the world, The Little Mermaid is too scary that the family has to leave. So I am so ashamed. I've been carrying this for a long time. And I feel like I had to get it out there, and this, this fits this story. So we had to
This is
leave
perfect.
The Little Mermaid.
I'm glad you feel better. That's a long time to hold that secret.
It's been hard to sleep at night. Yeah.
Dude, she's a scary person. Like, she's scary. I'd be scared too.
Thank you. That makes me feel better. But the movie is The Little Mermaid, which is like every little girl's favorite movie. So on that note, I infiltrated your Russell group, and I got the following quote that has to do with your Disney experience. So this is from Andrea McNally. Okay. She says, one of the things that still sticks with me and still makes me laugh is a famous quote from her after she returned from Disney. She said, "The magic certainly goes out of the kingdom pretty quickly." Her first tattoo, so this is like some deep information here. Her first tattoo on the back of her neck was when she came back from Florida. I also found out they called her Trucker because of her voice. And then a final accomplishment that maybe people don't know is with Ringette, she made it to the Ontario Winter Games representing Eastern Ontario, which is a huge accomplishment. So that's Andrea McNally, a part of this podcast.
Yes, that's my I call her my second mom. So, because her oldest and my brother, so Joey and my brother Kyle, are best friends still, even though Joey lives out west now. And I babysat her kids. So, and she's my mom's best friend too. So she is right on some of those things. They didn't call me Trucker because of my voice. They call me Trucker because I have the worst mouth, like really bad. So how I don't ever drop F-bombs on the radio is honestly a shock. I think it's a superpower of mine. But I do have a trucker mouth, absolutely. And maybe like the raspiness could totally go with it for sure. But yeah, that's she's not wrong on those things.
You have yet to drop some profanities on this podcast, I think.
Am I allowed? Is that a thing?
We've been going a half hour. I mean, it's you do you, whatever feels natural. But so far, 30 minutes, no cussing. That's pretty good.
Right?
Yeah. So the trucker description is not apropos right now, but
lightening up in my old age.
You're becoming soft in your old age.
Yeah,
exactly. You mentioned your first tattoo. We got to talk about tattoos because there's a bunch that are visible right now. You have some music tattoos. Apparently, you've been paid to have tattoos put on your body as a canvas. Can you share some of these stories?
So the first tattoo, the one that Andrea is actually talking about, it's on my neck. And while we were in Florida, the rave scene was pretty big. So I was in Florida 97 to 98 is when I was there. And the rave scene in Florida was huge. And there's this rave group. Well, there's this group from Tampa, and they're called Rabbit in the Moon. And we would literally listen to their music and do what ravers do with the things that ravers do them with. And we would just trip balls and dance and whatever. And I loved the symbol, which was like this rabbit, this weirdly shaped rabbit, and it was in a circle. I was like, oh, that's going to fit perfectly on my neck. So when you go into the program, the international program, you pay your one-way ticket to Florida. If you graduate from the program, they give you your money back. And then you use that money for a leaving trip, whatever it may be. You and your buds get together, you all graduate together, and you're like, oh, we're going to go XYZ's, where we're going to use this money. So we were going to go to LA. So it was me and a bunch of my friends were going to LA, flying from Florida. So my mom said to me, don't go anywhere, come straight home. Don't go anywhere, just come straight home. And I was like, yeah, okay, cool. So I book out my flight to LA and land in LA and call my mom. And she's like, where are you? I'm like, I'm in LA. She's like, that's no way home. That's like the longest way home. I'm like, it's okay, Mom. I got this money for my plane ticket. I saved up some money, for my tips and stuff. And like, it's fine. Like, I'm going to be in LA for 2 weeks. This is what we're doing, yada, yada. This is who I'm with. Anyway, I think it was about 3 days in, I called her for money. Somehow, yeah. I had the worst budget. Anyway, I somehow ran out of money, So she sent me money, and the money literally was just to go get a tattoo. So I went and got a tattoo on Hollywood Boulevard. I couldn't even tell you what the tattoo shop's name was. I had no idea. That was officially my second one. My first one was when I was 16, and it was a shamrock that I got. And I got it because I wanted to piss off my mom, which it worked, obviously. Yeah, so that was my first tattoo. And the guy was hitting bongs the whole time. And like when I was in Florida, I enjoyed weed as well. So I was smoking weed at the time. And I asked him, like, can I hit some of the bong? You know what I mean? Like, when I'm getting tattooed, it'll relax me. You know, he's like, oh, I can't really smoke out the customers. And I'm like, but I'm Canadian. Like, you guys don't even know what like good weed is. Like, their weed is garbage. And I was like, you don't even know, you know? And he's like, no, no. Anyway, he got so high that the tattoo was supposed to be like this big, and it ended up like being this big because he just kept going in the round and circle and circle and circle, going around, around, around. And I'm like, hey, bro, you have to stop because I had to go to Jay Leno. Like, we were going to Jay Leno that night to be in the crowd, which I was in the front row when we got to Berkeley. And then I left to get a tattoo, and I was the last person to get in. So I gave up my 2 front seats. Like, my friends were on TV and shit because they were like right down front. Anyway, my friend Rob still doesn't forgive me for that. But so yeah, that was my first tattoo. My other musical tattoos, which would have been the start of my one sleeve that I have, is a quote from Black. You can't really see it here, but anyway, there's some wording here, which is a quote from Black from Pearl Jam, which is my ultimate favorite tune. So I got that done, which then started off the process of getting my right arm finished. And then I raised money for leukemia and lymphoma. I raised $3,500 for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, and I was running a marathon half marathon in Brooklyn. And I said, if you donate $250 to my cause, I'll get your name tattooed on me. And I have 6 names, I think, or 7 names. I have a half a name because my Aunt Judy wouldn't donate the full amount of money, so I only put Jew on there, J-U.
That's too good. What are the names that are on you? Are there some ridiculous names, or are they like beautiful, beautiful
DJ
names?
No, DJ Noah is on there. So
did he put Noah or DJ Noah?
No, he put DJ Noah.
That's too funny.
There's my Annie Mare who is on there. I also have the giant tiger kitty, the logo. My friend Rod owns a giant tiger, so he wanted the logo put on instead of a name. So I put the logo on.
Someone that takes their job way too seriously.
Yeah, exactly. And then my friends own a event management company that I sometimes do work for, called InStride. They're out of Mantic now, and I have their logo on me as well. And then I have BFG. So my friend Nick Medeiros, he has 3 kids, and he gave a big donation. So I was like, oh, okay, sweet. Like, do you want the kids' names on there? Like, what do you want? And he goes, no, I want you to write BFG. And I'm like, BFG? I'm like, who's BFG? He's like, best fucking guy. So now when someone asks who BFG is, I have to say, oh, it's Nick Medeiros. He's the best fucking guy. So now
see, I could be wrong, but in the world of video games, I believe in Doom, there's a gun called the BFG, and it's the big fucking gun. It's like the most legendary video game gun and name and all that. BFG, yeah. I believe. So yeah.
So I can just say that instead of Nick Medeiros' name?
You could, but the poor guy paid for it. Yeah.
And I have Catholic guilt, so then I would feel terrible if I didn't say that,
And that's the worst of all the guilts. So we're working our way through the beginning. We're getting close to the radio career. What are the other jobs that you've had over the years? So you're working in fast food. You had the year at Disney. Sounds like there was some bartending. Any other jobs? And if so, any horrible jobs that make for good stories?
Well, I was a camp counselor, which was crazy, because you had to take all the kids swimming in the afternoon, and a lot of them were kind of on medication, whether it be your medication or whatever. And for some reason, they thought it would be a good time to give them their pills before we went swimming. So then once you got to the pool, everybody was all like drugged up and zoned out. So I would like be standing in the pool with the kids and have like one on one arm and one on the other, and like one on the leg, and just make sure they weren't drowning, because like swimming was like a hard thing for them to do at that time. So I thought that was weird. I was working in administration, like filing at my aunt and uncle's old business. They used to have a moving supply company, Patapi's Moving Supply. So I would bartend at night, and then I would go and work in the office the next day because they needed help. I don't even really know why I took this job, but like, I guess I wanted to make sure I was like everybody else in the family because everybody had worked there at one point in time. I think I lasted 3 days. 3 days. I was like, no, I fell asleep on the computer. I'm like, who does this shit? It's filing. But like, I also was bartending like all night. Like, I get home at like 1 or 2 and then have to be up at 8. No, I was like, I'm out. That was the worst. The worst. Whoever does administration work, filing and shit, and I'm an organized person usually. I have like a little bit of OCD. Like, I get it. I love to have all that shit good to go, but oh my God, I couldn't do that. I blame the bartending part of it though. I blame not being able to go home. I can't leave a party. I have FOMO. So, but that would be the worst. I also worked fast food at Licks, so I had to sing. That was fun.
Licks had good burgers. That was always my dad's favorite burgers.
Dude, Licks had the best burgers. I still remember the songs. Their fries were the best. The guck sauce, you can buy it at the store. Doesn't taste the same.
Are Licks still around? I think the one I remember is on Bank Street, but I don't know if they're
closed. Bank in Alta Vista.
Yeah. Are there any locations?
Not in Ottawa. When you're hungover, you crave that shit, and it's gone. I think they might have one. The original, which was in the beaches in Toronto, may be there, but I feel like there might be one like near Ajax or Dixie Road or whatever. I don't really know Toronto, the outskirts of Toronto that well. I only really know downtown, and even then it's Google. So, but no, it's sad, but it was a great company. It was a female-run company, and they were really supportive of females and moving forward. And, also too, like, I had a lot of kids who I was managing at the time, and they came from like pretty shitty homes and like pretty shitty families, but they were hardworking kids, and I still see them today. Like Frankie, who used to work for me, actually used to work for the Whalesbone. And I remember when he started there, and he was like so excited to see me, and it took me a minute to put 2 and 2 together. But yeah, I used to be his boss when I was fucking like 18 or 19 or something. Just shows you how small Ottawa is. Ottawa is a small town.
Yeah, the more I interview different guests in the Canadian music industry, everyone is connected to everyone. So that's like across Canada. So if we're talking just Ottawa, it's like you want to be a good person, because if you're not, that spreads pretty quickly.